This presentation is meant to introduce or review WSSC Fats, Oils, and Grease, or FOG, program expectations for the proper maintenance of grease removal devices, or GRDs. It is intended for the food service establishment industry and the certified licensed grease hauler professionals who are charged with maintaining GRDs. It also provides valuable review information for FOG investigators and inspectors. It should be noted that this presentation is for illustrative and training purposes only. The manufacturers, contractors, suppliers, or any other vendors or commercial entities seen in this presentation are for illustrative purposes only and are not to be interpreted as recommended, allowable, or otherwise approved equipment, business, or vendors by WSSC. As a precursor in understanding how this recommended maintenance program exists, let's review the main points of the FOG enforcement program. WSSC has investigative and enforcement authority over FSEs, including how they operate and maintain grease removal abatement devices, investigative authority for grease disposal, septic or grease haulers, permitting authority, enforcement authority over the utility code that includes plumbing design, fixtures, drainage, interceptors, and traps. And finally, WSSC has specific limitations for prohibiting discharges to the sanitary sewer. WSSC's FOG program's primary objective is Sanitary Sewer Overflow, SSO, prevention. SSOs in a service area have the potential to discharge thousands or even millions of gallons of raw or partially treated sewage into the storm drain system and ultimately to a local water body. It has been estimated that 40 to 60% of all SSOs and business sewer backups nationwide are grease-related. Educating grease abatement maintenance personnel begins in the sewer. One must see what actually happens when grease is not controlled. Here is a clean, normal sewer pipe. If grease discharges are not controlled, grease begins to build up in the sewer line, as illustrated by the whitish-tan material forming just at the pipe above the red brick sewer. As time goes by, grease attaches itself to the sewer much like cholesterol does to an artery. Left unchecked, the grease will cause a fatal blockage and resulting backup in the sewer, into your business, or onto the street. WSSC's FOG program has many goals and objectives to help you understand the requirements for grease abatement. These points are illustrated on the next few slides. First is education of the FSE, then having proactive inspections. Increased enforcement, record-keeping requirements, best management practices, BMPs, customer outreach, partnering, such as with the restaurant associations, county health departments, utility website, Office of Communications. And permitting, FOG wastewater discharge permit, which contains requirements for control and management of FOG, many with grease interceptor recovery device operation and maintenance instructions. In addition, there are to be permits issued to grease haulers for responsibilities in cleaning of units. Our proactive inspections cover a lot of material with you. We will acquire the following: owner's name and address, manager's name if applicable, WSSC account number if available, WSSC service address if available. We will distribute outreach packages, brochures, distribute permit application and explain permit concepts, observe best management practices, view maintenance records, verify that all required fixtures are connected to grease abatement, that is, grease interceptor, and we will also verify that the grease abatement device is adequately sized for the connected fixtures. Additionally, we want to verify that the grease abatement device is operational and maintained. We may take photographs and check for grease accumulation in the sewer if the situation warrants. The number one FOG program violation that we find is that the GRD is not being maintained properly. That is the reasoning behind this training. Just like anything that is designed to clean or remove contaminants, like a vacuum cleaner canister for example, the cleaning device itself must be cleaned and cleared on occasion so it may function. WSSC realizes there are challenges that the FSE faces every day, and control of FOG may not be a top priority. Hence, WSSC finds that many employees are completely unaware of the FOG control equipment they have available to them. They only find out about it when their business is inspected, or worse, when the GRD fails and they have sewage backed up into their kitchen. Our main challenge then is to train and educate you in GRDs. Grease removal devices include grease traps and grease interceptors. The last line of defense against illicit FOG discharge is the GRD, and the FOG ordinance requires that every FSE contributing harmful waste to the sanitary sewer system be appropriately equipped with one. Within WSSC's service area, we classify two main types of grease abatement devices: flow-based, or indoor units, and volume-based. They are described in the code in detail and summarized here. Grease traps are smaller than grease interceptors and often located inside the FSE. FSEs may also elect to install multiple grease traps in the kitchen as opposed to a large grease interceptor outside. This is allowed by the FOG ordinance. However, FSEs should be careful to maintain the devices appropriately, since they are directly responsible for any FOG discharge into the sanitary sewer system. The grease trap should be ergonomically accessible since it requires frequent cleaning, so it is important not to store heavy items directly on top of the device. WSSC's FOG ordinance and your discharge permit requires that the large grease interceptor be cleaned by an approved grease hauler a minimum of once every 90 days or when 25% full of FOG waste. The FSE is responsible for ensuring the proper cleaning frequency of any GRD, including the large grease interceptor. To ensure that all GRDs are properly cleaned, the FSE is also responsible for maintaining a grease removal device maintenance log for each respective device. The FSE must keep on record the approximate volume of grease disposed, the time and date of disposal, and these records must be maintained on-site for a period of 3 years. Grease hauler manifests that have this information available are also required of the hauler. Let's first cover flow-based devices. Here is a typical above-ground plan for a basic indoor grease trap. Grease traps are small devices that temporarily retain a specific volume of wastewater, allowing for FOG to agglomerate and settle inside the device, such that illicit FOG discharge to the sanitary sewer system is limited by passive remediation. Grease traps are sized according to the manufacturer's specification. A grease trap size in GPM, gallons per minute, or pounds, does not denote the specific volume of the device. This means that the size of device is usually in GPM, which denotes the size suitable for effectively retaining at that specific flow rate. If a grease trap is rated at 50 GPM, the flow into the device should be 50 GPM or less. Any device subject to greater flow rates should be fitted with a flow control device. Pounds never equate to GPM and vice versa. Be sure you know the flow rate allowed. Energy dissipating baffles obstruct the flow of current inside the device, and FOG will agglomerate easily with the energy generated from the current dissipated. Some grease traps may have a fixture attached to the inlet which serves to catch food debris. Some units are called automatic because they have an electrical drive unit in them that may skim the grease to concentrate it for easier cleaning. Here is what a more involved design sheet may show in a GRD plan. Note that current code requirements must be met, which may or may not be reflected in this particular plan. See your investigator for more details. Just like a new car, dishwasher, or TV, there is an owner's manual with every GRD that explains its function and maintenance requirements. Be sure you read the manual, follow its guidelines, assure it works, and treat it with respect. Here are some tips for inspection and cleaning. Cleaning frequency depends on the following: the capacity of the device, the amount of grease the facility generates, best management practices, BMPs, the facility has implemented to reduce the fats, oils, and grease discharged, the degree to which the facility has contributed to system blockages in the past, your specific permit or FOG investigator written requirements. This is not a good sign to an investigator that your GRD is being maintained. Here is the internal skimmer found in an automatic mechanical device. The grease floating in the unit sticks to the stainless steel barrel or drum. As the drum rotates, the grease on it is wiped by a blade that pushes the grease into a chamber you have to keep clean, just like a grease jar underneath a griddle that fries bacon in your home. Here's a unit that was used for a kitchen cleaner shelf and was not maintained properly. Note the heavy accumulation of grease that can easily push out of this unit into the kitchen drain. Here are the basic steps for your indoor unit. Clean out the grease trap entirely. Remove the baffle, scrape the baffle and inside walls of the tank to remove FOG buildup. Dry wipe the trap rather than using water and cleaning chemicals. Brown grease from the grease trap should not be combined with yellow grease in any yellow grease rendering containers on site. Brown grease should never be discarded into storm drains or grease interceptors either. Again, it's important to note that the grease trap be ergonomically accessible to account for more frequent cleaning. The FOG ordinance and your permit requires that the grease trap be cleaned weekly or when 25% full of fog. The FSE is responsible for ensuring the proper cleaning frequency of any GCD, including the large grease interceptor. To ensure that all GCDs are properly cleaned, the FSE is also responsible for maintaining a grease control device maintenance log for each respective device. The FSE must keep on record the approximate volume of grease disposed, the time and date of disposal, and these records must be maintained on site for a period of 3 years. Grease hauler manifests that have this information are also required of the hauler. Next, we will cover the larger GRDs, volume-based interceptors. This is a cross-section diagram of a typical 3-chamber, 2-baffle unit showing how the grease and sediment is separated. Again, engineer specifications and plans are required for interceptors. Volume interceptors do not have to be rectangular in shape. They only have to be designed to operate efficiently regardless of shape. They can be installed underground, above ground, or even in a parking garage. They are normally gravity-fed, so the main requirement is that they are lower than the lowest point in the kitchen drain system. You need to know where your interceptor is and how to access it for inspection. Follow the guidelines listed here. The WSSC code requires you to keep less than 25% total solids of grease and sediment in the interceptor at any time. That is, 75% or more must be clear liquid. WSSC uses a clear plastic core sampler to measure the accumulation. The next few slides illustrate the maintenance guidelines for a volume-based unit. There should be an adequate number of access manholes to provide access for cleaning all areas of an interceptor. All grease interceptors should be cleaned at regular intervals. This varies with regulatory requirements and experience and usually varies from bi-weekly to quarterly. When cleaning, the entire tank should be cleaned, including solids from the bottom. Definition of clean means the tank is entirely pumped out. Always deal with a reliable company for grease interceptor cleaning service. WSSC require ones that are both licensed and permitted. Ask the hauler for his permit number and if he has any enforcement actions levied against him. Assure your contractor's specifications are clear and concise, pinpointing all details of your cleaning expectations. Usually, the hired help has many years of experience, but different expectations from a diverse group of customers. Never assume they know your requirements. Let them know your specifications and witness their work. The outdoor interceptor usually has at least one and can have up to 3 access manholes for inspection and cleaning. It is advisable for you to have the prints or as-builts so you know what the interceptor cross-section looks like. The operation begins with an inspection of the top grease layer and using truck suction hoses to vacuum up the top layer of fog, then the bottom layer, the heavier sludge and fog, then completing by pumping out the remaining water or liquid. This may be followed by high-pressure water scrubbing or mixing. Here are photos of using a high-pressure water device or jetting machine at a site. A coordinated effort is needed to assure all solids are removed and the tank is left clean. Sometimes using all access ports are necessary to coax the solids out to the suction hoses. Assure what is left behind is reasonable and satisfactory for the situation. Frequency of cleanings, FSE planned operations, and contractor availability all contribute to definition of clean. Assure your hauler disposes of and/or recycles all grease in a safe and legal manner. Here are your steps in assuring fog is reduced at your business. Kitchen Best Management Practices, BMPs, installed and properly maintained GRDs, helps prevent SSOs, maintain function of sanitary sewer system, and protect stormwater system and surrounding habitat. Collecting yellow grease, item 3 on the BMP poster, is an excellent opportunity to recycle or reuse fog from the kitchen. Many companies and other individuals can profit from yellow grease by converting the waste into a wide range of products. Also, some FSEs have methods of filtering and reprocessing the yellow grease on site for reuse in the kitchen. It is important to put grease where grease belongs. Yellow grease should be disposed of in the respective grease rendering device or, when small volumes apply, discarded into the trash. It should not be poured directly into GRDs, particularly outside grease interceptors or recycling containers. To ensure that grease is disposed of properly, the FOG ordinance requires that FSEs maintain a yellow grease disposal log. The FSE must keep on record the approximate volume of yellow grease disposed, the date of disposal, and the ultimate disposal location, and these records must be maintained on site for a period of 3 years. A typical yellow grease collection unit. Yellow grease collection barrels supplied by the recycler. Here is our summary. Effective management practices for GRD maintenance includes committed food service establishment, FSE, management and staff, knowledgeable and conscientious FSE personnel, FSE education and training, internal and external, committed, knowledgeable grease disposal contractors, FSE FOG permit language, unit cleaning, maintenance requirements, FSE record-keeping program, FOG waste hauler permits, manifests, and conditions, unit maintenance requirements, defining what is clean, timely and thorough inspections by FSE staff, communication with WSSC. Make maintenance a habit. Just make it a goal and follow through. Grease removal devices include grease traps and grease interceptors. The last line of defense against illicit fog discharge is the GRD, and the fog ordinance requires that every FSE contributing harmful waste to the sanitary sewer system be appropriately equipped with one.